Welcome to ACF Chefs Forum. Thank you for joining today's webinar on the new Certified Master Chef exam, What You Need to Know. For those unfamiliar with the American Culinary Federation, ACF, we are the leading organization for culinary professionals, offering education, certification, and a community for chefs and food service leaders. If you are not yet a member, today's webinar is a great example of the valuable resources that we offer. Today, we'll be joining Master Chef Kevin Walker, CMC AAC, as he breaks down the updated Certified Master Chef exam structure, key evaluation criteria, and the essential skills candidates need to master. Feel free to ask any questions you want to using the Q&A function at any time. Let's get started by sharing where you're tuning in from in the chat. I'm Kiwi Hermans, Program Manager of Continuing Education here at ACF, and I'm excited to be here with you. Let's meet today's presenter. Master Chef Kevin Walker, CMC AAC, is a certified master chef and a distinguished member of the American Academy of Chefs. With decades of experience in the culinary industry, he has held executive chef positions at prestigious establishments and played a vital role in mentoring the next generation of chefs. As the current president of the American Master Chefs Order, AMCO, he is dedicated to upholding the highest standards of culinary excellence and professional development. His expertise spans classical and modern techniques with a strong emphasis on leadership, education, and innovation in the kitchen. Through his work, Master Chef Walker continues to shape the future of American cuisine and culinary certification. And at this time, I will pass it over to Master Chef Walker. Take it away, Chef.
Thank you, Kiwi. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining today and giving me the opportunity to show what we've been working on with AMCO and the ACF. We're very excited about the new exam. I'm not going to go through the entire menu. There will be a QR code and a link to go to AMCO's website. Sign up, log in, and be able to review the exam on AMCO's website, and that'll be provided also on the ACF website after the webinar. I would like to start with the exam committee. Without these fine chefs who were part of this process and many others who we reached out to and talked to during the process, this would have never happened. Some of these gentlemen were in for just a little bit to get us going. Other ones have been through the whole process, but without them, it would not be possible. And I just want to thank them all personally for their involvement with this process. The mission statement for the exam that we came up with: the mission of the American Master Chef Order Certified Master Chef exam is to uphold the highest standards of culinary excellence by assessing and recognizing chefs who demonstrate mastery in the advanced techniques, innovation, and professionalism. Through rigorous evaluation, the exam honors integrity, discipline, respect for ingredients, inspiring growth, and advancing the chef's role as a leader in the culinary industry. We use this mission statement as we talked about this exam and how we were updating it. I will tell you that it has gone through myriads of updates over the last 2.5 years that we've been working on it to get to this point, and I'm sure that it will continue to evolve as our industry evolves. The qualifications and prerequisites for the exam are all listed in the manual, and because of the time that we have today, I will not be going into them, but they are all located on the American Master Chef Order website. There is the QR code for the exam, for the manual, and there you can see all of the prerequisites. I will tell you they don't differ much from what was in the past to be ready for the exam. We've just added a few different ways to get to the end point. And one of the things there that you will want to look at is the assessment program. 3 of the points that we really looked at while developing this exam was bringing transparency to the exam so people know exactly what we are looking for and what they should expect when they come. And the assessment program really helps define that transparency and gives candidates a chance to feel what the exam feels like and get valuable feedback. I would suggest that if you're interested at all in the exam, the assessment program is the perfect place to start. We also wanted to update the exam to be more current to how cooking is done today. And we wanted to make sure that the exam is under a week. We understand the pressures that you're under, and getting away for an 8-day exam, which works out to be about 12 days gone, or a 10-day exam, which works out to be about 14 days gone, is very hard for anybody in the industry. The exam overview, and we'll go into each section through other slides. This is just to give you what the exam looks like for the entire 5 days. There's a pre-day 1 orientation. On day 1, there is plant-based cookery and garde-manger preparation. On day 2 is full garde-manger preparation. On day 3, garde-manger presentation and cuisines of the world. Day 4 is dedicated to classical cuisine and chef's market basket preparation. And day 5 is the chef's market basket. So we've incorporated pastry into the entire exam instead of having a pastry day, and we've really tried to narrow this down. And through the assessment program, you see all of these parts of the exam and you get valuable feedback with it as well. The pre-test, there's some pre-test things that take place. 1 week prior to pre-day 1 orientation, the candidates will receive the protein requirements for their day 5 chef's market basket, along with a seasonal market ingredient list. The menu and order guide must be submitted via email within 24 hours of receipt of this, of your proteins and the chef's market basket. And submission time is governed by the host site's time zone. So if you live in California and the test will be held in Florida, then if it's due by 8 o'clock the next morning, that's 5 o'clock for you in California. So and that is consistent throughout the exam for everything being, all order guides and menus are all submitted by email, and that's all by the host site's time zone. Then 72 hours prior to arrival, the candidates will receive their plant-based market ingredient list. And a sample list is available on the AMCO's website, as with all the other dishes that are possible selections. The menu and order guide must be submitted within 24 hours, and also the submission time is governed by the host site's time zone. At the pre-day 1 orientation, the candidates will meet for an orientation session. They will be introduced to the evaluators. They'll tour the facilities. They'll receive their station assignment. They will draw and meet their apprentices and review expectations. And the candidates will be given 30 minutes to set their station. During the exam, no other time will be allotted for station setup. Now, there is a caveat to this. It is our goal that when you come to the exam, depending on where it's being held, you work the same station for the entire 5 days. So while you clean up the day before, it gives you time to set up your station for the next day. Also, with the apprentices, it is our goal as much as possible to have you work with the same apprentice through the entire exam. Obviously, with school schedules and work schedules, that may not be possible, but in the case of like garde-manger preparation, it is our goal that they are there for the day 2 and day 3 so that you're not trying to bring a new apprentice up to speed. But at this meeting, you would meet who your candidate would be to start off the exam, your apprentice candidate. Also, part of your day 5 menu, you must include some type of bread that has 2 different shapes to it. If you are opting to make an artisan bread, then you're allowed to bring in a starter that you've already established, or start a starter at the pre-day meeting. And each day you will be given a 15-minute window to feed that starter, except for day 2, which you'll have to include in your 12-hour prep time. So if you're deciding that you want to make a artisan bread, excuse me, sorry, I have dogs that just heard a leaf fall outside. Then you could feed your starter at this point. And you'll also draw for contemporary charcuterie and garde-manger basket. On day 1, the candidates, the plant-based cookery with the order guide and menu you've already submitted, you must demonstrate a mastery of plant-based culinary principles by effectively utilizing a market ingredient list of seasonal ingredients. This dietary approach prioritizes fiber-rich plant proteins, including vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, and alternative protein sources. The candidate must demonstrate the mastery of flavor development using established cooking techniques, fundamentals, consistency and portion control, and presentation, along with the formulation of the menu and its components. All will be evaluated at mastery level. The evaluation team will assess the candidate's performance based on their proficiency in these fundamentals and the overall methodology used in the execution of the menu and its preparation. There's a little bit of a difference in the market basket on day 5 and the day 1 plant-based. We are giving you a market ingredient list of ingredients instead of giving you a market basket where we say some of all must be used. We're giving you a larger list and allowing you to pick the ingredients you would like to cook with. The competencies for plant-based cookery are 6 plated portions of a 4-course meal, appetizer, maybe hot or cold, super salad, main course, and I'm sorry, I still haven't removed that. It needs to be removed. They must contain a complete protein. The menu must contain a complete protein, not the main course. I apologize, I thought I'd taken that out. And then your dessert can be hot, room temperature, or cold, but it must contain a frozen element. As I said a minute ago, the candidate will receive a market basket, including seasonal vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, along with access to the common pantry that includes alternative milk, sea vegetables, nutritional yeast, vital wheat gluten, and vegan chocolate. Candidates are required to incorporate and highlight a minimum of 12 items from the market ingredient list in the creation of their menu. So instead of, the list may include 30 to 40 items, and there is a sample list that's up on the website along with the sample common pantry list. And let me caveat those 2 things on the website. They are potential baskets. It doesn't mean that's what they're going to be, and it's a potential common pantry list. That will be sent out to the candidates at least 4 months before the exam date. So you'll know what's on that list at that point, but these are sample lists to give you an idea of what you could expect. The plant-based cookery timeline is 4 hours of preparation time, 30-minute service window, and 30-minute station cleanup. The common kitchen obviously can be used, and candidates will have a 30-minute period to submit a supplemental requisition for any non-essential item. A non-essential item is anything that is not listed as a main item on your menu. So, for instance, in this case, if you were making a beet pave, excuse me, and you did not order your beets, that is considered an essential item. If you didn't order, say, the red onions for the pave, that is considered a non-essential item because it isn't listed as the menu title or ingredient on the menu. So that's not saying we would not give you that item. It's just saying that there's a potential for a point deduction for not having it in your order guide. You also will, you're also will have contemporary charcuterie and garde-manger menu and order guide due by email at 8 o'clock that morning. In the afternoon, after plant-based on this first day, you will be given a 2-hour mise en place window for mise en place and preparation. You can do any type of preparation that you would feel would be most beneficial and helpful to your program. At the end of the 2 hours, you must be cleaned and sanitized and out of the kitchen. And after the reset, you'll be given 15 minutes to feed your bread starter. There is no supplemental requisition given during this period. However, the common kitchen is open and accessible, and apprentices will be there to store your order guide that you'll receive that afternoon or when you move into the kitchen, but they are not to assist in any other manner during this time frame of this 2-hour period. You'll also at the end draw for cuisines of the world cookery. Day 2 is all dedicated to garde-manger prep. In accordance with both classical and modern practices, the candidates must demonstrate the following competencies to meet the major requirements. The candidate will show mastery of understanding and functionality of the garde-manger kitchen. The candidate must demonstrate the mastery of cooking principles as it relates to flavor development, compatibility, and practicality of ingredients for both main and support items of a formal cocktail reception, consistency and portion control and presentation, along with the formulation of the menu and its components, will be evaluated at a mastery level. The evaluation team will assess the candidate's performance based on their proficiency in these fundamentals, excuse me, and the overall methodology used in the menu preparation. The competencies for your charcuterie and garde-manger preparation include a menu composition of 9 total portions, 8 displayed for a formal cocktail reception, and 1 corresponding show plate showing everything that's on the formal cocktail reception, so we can judge that against portion size. The items that must be included is a pâté en croûte, a terrine or galantine that must utilize a different force meat than that of the pâté en croûte, and 1 whole muscle preparation that may include 20% force meat up to the muscle weight being utilized. Now, this goes back to day 1, your 2-hour window. As you look at your competencies, you have to decide what you would like to do in that 2-hour window. If you, for instance, want to make a char terrine and you pull char, and you can make the entire char terrine and get it into the cooler within a 2-hour period, that is absolutely fine. You can absolutely do that. If you'd rather make your pâtés, so that's ready to go, butcher out your protein so they can marinate, start stock, roast bones to make your aspects, do that kind of stuff. It is completely up to you to decide how you work your day on day 1 and on day 2. Additional competencies are the accompanying items. There must be 3 salads, 1 being a grain or farinaceous, 1 being a green, and 1 being a vegetable. There must be 3 accompanying sauces of different styles, 1 for each main item. And there must be 12 pieces of 2 different canapes, hot, they can be hot or cold. 1 must incorporate a pâte à choux as a vessel, not as a decoration, and 1 must contain a mousse. The market basket ingredients would be, this is a sample, would be 2 primary proteins, a secondary protein, 2 vegetable items, 1 farinaceous item, 1 legume, a leafy green, a fruit, and a supplementary item. This is one of the spots where some of all must be utilized in the preparation of the menu. The common kitchen also may be used. You'll have a 30 minutes to submit a supplemental requisition for non-essential items. And also, on every single day, you will have 1 hour to return all products that you are not using, any extra product that you're not using. After that hour, anything on your station will be included as part of the evaluation for your kitchen score. So for instance, in this case, if you only needed one side of salmon because you're doing a gravlock style preparation and you kept both sides of salmon on your station and didn't return them in the first hour, you would then be judged on having that extra product in your cooler. All ingredients must be used to some extent. You have 12 hours on this day of preparation time. You may feed your bread starter during this 12-hour window. There is no extra time given to feed the bread starter. You will also draw for classical cuisine on this day. And your menu for Cuisines of the World Cookery is due by email. Now, this in the manual, it says 8 o'clock. This may change depending on the site where we're at. It may change to be a little bit later, a little bit sooner, but this is a guideline. On day 3, part 1 is when you'll present your charcuterie and garmager. Candidates will have 2 hours to slice and make their final preparation for service. No supplemental requisition will be accepted for this segment. However, the common kitchen will be accessible. There will be no service window. Items must be presented at the end of the 2-hour window. So if you move in at 12 o'clock, all food is due up by 2 o'clock. The menu and order guide for day 4 classical cuisine is due via email. The service and plating for this section, the main items must be displayed as for a formal cocktail reception. To demonstrate proper portioning, one additional show plate, including all items produced except for the past canapes, must be on one additional show plate. Each main item must be served with the appropriate salad and sauce. Pâté and croûte must be displayed with a gross piece. The gross piece must be large enough to serve an additional 4 portions. No other gross pieces are necessary. Emphasis should be placed on the highest level of execution for food products with the presentation arranged to ensure efficient flow. So when you're setting this up, this is not necessarily on a Chinese platter. This is set up as individual items. You may just have one ravier that has your sliced pâté and croûte with a small green salad served alongside of it and the sauce and a gooseneck. You may take and put your solid mussel piece and slice that nicely over top of a grain salad if that's what you decided to do, and that would be a different piece. It's completely up to you how you would like to present it, but it should be presented so people could walk up as if they're at a cocktail reception on the cold food part of the reception and just be able to pick up what they would like. All items must be properly labeled, and glazing is optional but not mandatory. Then you would move into, in the afternoon of day 3, Cuisines of the World. The candidate must demonstrate a proficient knowledge of world cuisines. It is expected that the candidate exhibits a deep understanding of the traditions, philosophies, and methodologies of each cuisine. The methods of service and preparation should align with the traditional integrity of each dish, showcasing a mastery by presenting the dishes in the style of a special occasion for that region. This bottom paragraph is the same that it was on the other slide, so I'm not going to read through that. The competencies, the menu and order guide for classical cuisine is due by email. The menu composition is 6 portions of 3 main courses, the 3 main dishes representing the cuisines of the world from different areas of the world. The progression of service is determined by the candidate. So these 3 dishes, excuse me, whichever order you'd like to serve them in, you must have the menu written and handed in, obviously, so we know the order of which you want to serve them, but that's completely up to you. Understanding the traditional service methods appropriate to the cuisines being represented. So if traditionally the dish would be served as a tagine, you may possibly serve all 6 portions in one tagine and serve it that way if that makes sense. That is up for you to decide. A detailed and up-to-date list of current cuisine and possible dishes is available on the AMCO website. I will also tell you that in the manual, there are hyperlinks to all of these things. So if you're looking at Cuisines of the World, There's a resource page. You can click the hyperlink. It will take you to the updated list of possible cuisines and possible dishes. All items for cuisines of the world and classical will be pulled from the dishes listed on the website. So there is no surprise, there is no gotcha. They are all there. The cuisines of the world also have been designed as dishes that could be served. We went through and made sure that there are dishes that can be made with food bought in the United States, and also that makes sense to put on a menu so that you would have a chance to run these items and be able to practice them. The timing for this day is 4 hours of preparation time, a 30-minute service window, and 30-minute station cleanup. 15 minutes will be given to feed your bread starter if that is necessary after the cleanup. The common kitchen may be used, and there's a 30-minute period to submit the supplemental requisition for any non-essential items, as well as the 1-hour time limit to return any items that may be extra that you will not be using. And then we move into day 4, classical cuisine. Based on the fundamentals of Auguste Escoffier, the candidate must demonstrate the ability to understand, interpret, and execute the philosophies of classical cuisine as outlined in Le Guide Culinaire version 4. This includes showcasing a thorough knowledge of the foundation and preparation techniques of the classical cuisine throughout the presented menu. The service and preparation methods must adhere to the classical definitions of the dishes being presented. Notice that we tell you we are using Le Guide Culinaire version 4. That is the only book that will be used for this section. So that is where you should be pulling all of your information from when you're given your menu. The competencies for this day, the menu composition is a consommé, a fish course, a main course that is to be served as Russian style. This is the only place in the exam where it is mandatory that you serve a platter service as for Russian service. No other place is it mandatory to do this. Everything else is plated, except for the possibility of what you may pull in world cuisine if it makes sense to serve it as one platter. You also must do a hot souffle, and that is up to you to decide as a candidate if you want to do a savory or sweet souffle. If you serve a savory souffle, it must be served as the first course. If you serve a sweet souffle, it must be served after the main course. It must be chosen from Le Guide version 4 and be identified with a recipe number, and the souffle must be served in the appropriate manner. So if it's supposed to be served with a sauce, then a sauce should accompany it. I will tell you that we are making sure that wherever the test is held, there will be a separate oven dedicated solely for the cooking of the souffles, and that way you're not tying up your oven on your station for that 15 to 18 minutes while you're trying to put out your other food. So if your window was opening at noon, let's say, then we would expect to see the souffle going into the oven somewhere around 11:42, 11:45. So it's coming out as your window is opening. Or if you're doing it as a sweet souffle, then it should be going in somewhere 10 minutes into your window, so it's coming out at the end of your window. Proper understanding of the cuisines of Auguste Escoffier is essential. The demonstration of proper knowledge of butchery as defined in Le Guide. Understanding of proper accompaniments for the chosen dishes. It is our expectation that you will choose the side dishes that accompany the main courses and possibly the fish course and possibly the souffle from Le Guide. We will give you the main dishes and you will have to provide the accompaniment. And understanding of proper plating techniques for Russian service. The timing for this day is 5.5-hour preparation time. a 30-minute service window, and a 30-minute station cleanup and reset. The plating for this, the consommé, fish, and souffle are all plated individually. The entree must be plated with 2 portions as individually to demonstrate proper portioning of the platter, and 6 portions following the standards of the guidelines for service a la Ruth. And we will judge what's on the platter by versus what's on the plate, or evaluate, I should say. The common kitchen may be used. The candidates have time to submit a supplemental requisition, and a comprehensive list of all the possible dishes is available on the AMCO's website. So it lists out the consommes, the fish courses, and the entrees that will be, this is where we will pull those menus from, so that they are all there and can be viewed and practiced as needed. The Chef's Market Basket, day 4, this is after classical cuisine. As with garde manger, you will be given a 2-hour mise en place window to do any type of prep for your 7-course meal that is your day 5 final. At the end of the 2 hours, you must be out of the kitchen. The candidates will have time to feed their bread starter or start the sponge for the next day, or the biga for the next day. Excuse me. No supplemental requisitions for this section, and the apprentice may only assist in storing the candidate's order guide, but not participate in any other manner. On day 5, you'll be required to produce a 7-course meal showcasing advanced culinary skills, creativity, and technique. Each course should reflect a high level of execution with an emphasis on balanced flavors, presentation, and appropriate portioning. Excuse me one second. I'm sorry, my wife is trying to wrangle the dog. The meal should flow cohesively, highlighting the candidate's ability to design a comprehensive dining experience from start to finish. Evaluation will focus on the quality of each course, the use of diverse cooking methods, and the ability to present dishes that are distinct yet complementary to the overall menu. This is your chance to show us how you cook. We're leaving this completely open. The only mandatory requirements for this section is you must use the proteins that have been assigned, and you also must do a bread with 2 different shapes, and your dessert must include a frozen ingredient item. Other than that, the menu is completely open to however you would like to design it. 1 week prior, you'll be given both a list of proteins and the market ingredient list containing the vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. The menu competencies and composition is 6 portions of a 7-course meal. It must include a bread, as I just said. The bread is not considered a course, and the dessert must include a main item, appropriate sauce, garnish, and a frozen component. The progression of the service of the meal is determined by the candidate. Demonstration of proper knowledge of butchery, understanding of appropriate service methods, a portion of all the proteins must be utilized, and then the common kitchen and the market ingredient list for you to make up the rest of the menu. And we would like to see an expression of personal cooking style through signature items and techniques. The timing, you have 7 hours of preparation time on this day. You have a 45-minute service window, and you have a 30-minute station and cleanup. The exam scoring, days 1 through 4, each segment is a practical exam, so all of them must be successfully passed. Days 1 through 4, all must be passed at a minimum of 75%. Day 5 market basket requires a passing score of 80% to assess the candidate's mastery, reflecting the culmination of the entire exam. The higher score ensures only those who consistently perform at an advanced level will succeed. Each exam major is scored using the following weighted categories. The kitchen performance is 40% of the score. The tasting and presentation is 60% of the score. And I will tell you that built into this also is a pass-fail component on sanitation. An unsuccessful exam, any candidate scoring below 75% in any one of the first 4 segments, but passing all the other of the first 4 segments and achieving the 80% on day 5 may retake the failed segment immediately after the exam or at the next available opportunity. The retake is subject to the availability of the candidate, the evaluators, and the facility, but it is our goal to do that absolutely following the end of day 5. Anybody failing, passing the first 4 days, but not reaching the required 80% on day 5 may retake day 5 at the next scheduled exam. Any candidate who fails 2 segments, including retakes, must retake the entire exam. The reason for making day 5 come back for the next possible exam is because of you writing the menu a week out and sending it to us. You would not be doing the same menu that you cooked and did not score an 80% on. Candidates are evaluated exclusively by certified master chefs. All criteria are detailed on the score sheet, and there are sample score sheets available on the AMCO website. And personal feedback obviously will be given every single day and let you know how each day went. With that, that brings my part of the presentation to a close. And if there's any questions, I'm certainly open to answering them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Chef. We actually do have a few questions that came in during your really insightful presentation. So I will ask those now. Apologies to all if I butcher anyone's name. I promise it is not on purpose. This first message comes from Chef Howie Villet. In the past, the menus were set up for 4 plates and then 6 portions on a platter for service of most of the days. Is this not the case any longer?
No, you have 6 portions on every day except for garde manger and classical, where classical is 8, garde manger is obviously 1 plate, but for 9 people. Everything is plated as for a dinner. You're just going to plate it. The only place you need to do a platter is on classical. 2 portions plated, 6 on a platter.
Thank you. The other question is from Chef Jeremy Abbey. Why version 4 of Le Guide and not the latest 5th edition?
Because Chef Abbey, when we started this 2.5 years ago, that's the one we were working on. That's the one that Chef Olivier Andrini spent months pulling the dishes from to make sure that they were easily evaluated, so there wouldn't be any kind of confusion. And it's just the one that we're using to start with. Doesn't mean that it may not change in the future, but right now we're going to stay with version 4. Thank you. Thank
you. So I will give a few more minutes if anyone else has any questions they want to put in the Q&A, but I do have a few other questions for you. What, in your opinion, is the hardest part of the exam, and how did you prepare or respond to that challenge going through it?
I think the hardest part of the exam is getting ready for the exam and being able to effectively self-critique yourself to learn from your mistakes, number 1. And number 2, the mental pressure of the exam. It's different standing in front of 5 master chefs cleaning a tenderloin than it is when you've cleaned 1,000 of them in your own building. And this is where I think the assessment program is very important. One of the sections of the assessment program is you do a 7-course meal, but in the assessment program, you have to do a vegan course, you have to do a garde manger course, you have to do certain cooking methods and certain knife cuts, which we take out from that chef's menu. But what it does is it gives you the availability to stand in the kitchen with 4 master chefs watching you, asking you questions, and get valuable feedback. So it gives you that real exam feeling of being evaluated. I think the mental aspect, it's so easy when someone writes something on a clipboard to immediately think you did something wrong, or if they ask you a question, to immediately think that you're doing something wrong when they could be really wanting just to learn something new, or they wrote down great job on butchery of the fish. You don't know that, but your mind immediately goes negative.
Absolutely. We had another question come in. Apologies for any butchering. Chef William Tuite, if the chef candidate has a Pro Chef 3, will that chef be considered to take the CMC exam?
All candidates must be certified at the certified executive chef level through the ACF. So, so that is one prerequisite that is necessary, and that's all spelled out in the manual.
And you can talk to me if you need your CEC. We have another question from Chef Brad Ball. Will candidates have the opportunity for preferments for bread requirements?
Yeah, pre-ferments, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's ask a question just kind of about yourself. What made you decide to get your CMC certification, and why do you encourage other chefs to take that step as well?
Mine, I was a student at the Culinary Institute. I looked up to, that was in the heyday of the Olympic team. So Chef Metz, Chef Northmore, Chef Ryan, Chef Erickson, Chef Uglier. These were all people I looked up to. I was fortunate enough to assist in running the exam while I was a fellowship at the CIA, and I watched Chef Fatigati, Chef Noel Cullen, and Chef Gitzner all pass the exam. And I really wanted to put myself up against the people who I saw as my mentors and see if I stacked up to them. And it was personal. That was my own personal goal. And yeah, so that was the reason why I chose to do it.
That's great. We have another question from Chef Jeremy Abbey. Has the cost been determined for the new format?
It has. The cost is $7,500 for the exam. And that there's a fee schedule laid out in how that has to be paid. And there's also a $500 application fee that goes along with that when you file your application. And also the cost of there is a cost obviously involved with the assessment program that generally runs somewhere between $1,600 and $2,000. And that is solely based on what it costs for wherever we're holding it, the cost of the food, the cost of the travel for the evaluators, and the cost of lodging for the evaluators. So that's why there's kind of a range there. It depends on what's being held. So, yeah.
Great. Question from Chef Derek Anders. Would you recommend culinary competitions as a way to prepare for this level exam? If so, what culinary competition categories do you recommend to candidates?
I recommend culinary competitions, period. Whether you're getting ready for this exam or not, they make you a better cook. They force you to think about it daily as you're setting up your station. You work more clean, you work more organized, you understand the pressures of a time limit. You focus on the fundamentals. You get the feeling of the pressure of having a judge standing over top of you. So just in every way, shape, and form, I think competition is a great way to get ready for this exam, for any level certification, and just in your daily cooking. As far as what type, any and all. And I would say that if you're doing a competition, and let's say you're doing an hour competition, and you've worked out a dish that you're able to do in 40 minutes, and you're standing there with 20 minutes left and waiting to serve, then you have not done enough, and you need to do more. You should feel there's never been a time in a competition or during the exam where I didn't think to myself, I'm not going to make it. You have to go in with a sense of urgency, and you need to hit the ground running, period. And you don't stop until the bell rings.
Great. Great advice. This is from Chef David Wolf. Is a CEC emeritus accepted for the exam as a prerequisite?
I would assume so, but we would have to check that with the ACF national office. But I would assume so.
We can have those discussions and make sure that that's well known on the website. Another question from Chef Jeremy Anderson: is all equipment provided? What would you suggest bringing versus having provided?
So all necessary cooking equipment is provided. You don't need to bring pots, pans. You shouldn't have to bring any spoons or rubber spatulas, but obviously everybody has their own little small wares that they like to bring, and that's certainly fine to bring along. You are allowed to bring a circulator, immersion circulator, but if you bring an immersion circulator, the time you're using the immersion circulator, you lose one burner off of your stove. So not an additional, we would actually take it away. And I would say that as far as immersion circulators go, I don't know if we would allow overnight cooking in them for the 7-day menu. So that's something you have to think about. I think all cooking needs to be done in the time frame that we're giving you. As far as those other things, generally all the small wares will be there. There'll be blenders. You may want to bring an immersion stick of your own that you like to use. If there's anything special that you like to use, cutters, that type of thing. But I will tell you that we're looking to see your skill, not what a mandolin can do, or a ring cutter can do. Sometimes those are used and sometimes they're necessary, and those are decisions that you make. And that's what we're trying to do with this exam, is make it so that you're making either good or bad decisions on how you succeed.
Absolutely. This next question comes from Chef James Kaufman. What if you are a CEPC? Can you take the test?
Can you take the Master Chef exam or the Master Pastry Chef exam? I will tell you that we are in the process of now updating the Master Pastry Chef exam. And yes, you absolutely can take the Master Pastry Chef exam. I think that would be a discussion we have with the national office. I don't see a reason why we would hold back a CEPC. If they, I would definitely suggest you go through the assessment program so you get the valuable feedback that really lets you know where you sit and if you're ready to do that. So.
Okay. Yep. We'll tackle those questions as well on the website. Another question from Chef Gerald Profeta: how far out do you need to register for the exam?
So we will be announcing the exam here in the next week as soon as we have. We're working with a school right now to work out the dates. It'll be sometime at the end of February, beginning of March. We are generally trying to make sure that we're giving anywhere between 10 and 12 months so that you have time to truly practice and get yourself ready for the exam. I will tell you that we've also, no change to the fee structure will happen within the year of an announcement of a test. That gives you time to budget correctly. And no dishes would be changed on the website any sooner than 6 months out from the test. So it wouldn't be like a month before we decide we're going to take these consommes off and put those on. And there'll never be any wholesale changes of menus where we change everything that's on the website, so that you're able to practice and be ready.
Perfect. This next question is from a chef who I'm sure would love for me to butcher his name, and I'm not going to. So it's from Chef Spiro. Sorry, Chef. Can candidates take the exam if they are a CCE, which is our Certified Culinary Educator? And I would assume that you're asking the question based on if they're solely just a CCE, not having that certified executive chef behind it as well.
I believe so. I think we did. I'm 95% sure that yes, you can, because you meet all the requirements of a CEC with your CCE. So I believe so, but we can look at that and make sure that it works. So
we'll take all these questions too and make sure that we're answering those properly on the website if we need to. Question from Chef Derek Anders is there a prerequisite for CMC candidates?
Yes, and they're all listed in the handbook, and it's obviously based on your knowledge and your experience, but also there's a wine component that has to be taken care of. There is a sanitation component, there's a culinary math, there's a human resource component. Most of those are covered by your CEC or CCE, and so most of that is there, but it's all listed in the manual on the website.
Perfect. We'll give just a few more minutes to ask any more questions. I've got another one for you, Chef. We know we've kind of discussed this already, but just to kind of drive it home, what's the #1 tip or advice you would give to a chef preparing for the exam for the CE?
Outside of the assessment program, is practice, being able to evaluate yourself honestly, and getting in front of competitions, and also getting in front of other master chefs to cook and get feedback, and be open. You have to be open to feedback. You have to be self-critical, and you have to take what somebody's telling you. And if somebody says, this isn't the correct way to do it, the answer isn't yes, but this is why. You have to be able. You have to be able to take criticism. And if you can't, then you're not going to be very successful.
Thank you. We have another question from Chef Benjamin Loomis. Excuse me. Where is the candidate manual located on the website?
So if you go to AmericanMasterChefsOrder.org, it'll pop up, and it has CMC manual. If you have not registered, you will have to register on the website. There is no fee for that, but it gives us the ability to track who's on the website and be able to reach out to you about information that's needed. And then once you've created a login, it's located right there. And if you'd like me to, Kiwi, I could put that the QR code back up again.
Yeah, you can. We're also going to send it out to everyone as part of our survey to earn your CEH. So you will have all that information. Okay. And then also we will be posting some stuff on the ACF website. I'm sure most of you that are very excited for this have known we've taken some stuff off just to kind of have that base. And then we'll repopulate everything back onto our website to link to the new manual on the AMCO website. So have no fear, it's all coming.
Okay.
We do have another question from Chef Tim Recker. If we were an approved candidate prior to this revision and paid our application fee, will that still be valid?
Yes, you're still valid as a candidate. Absolutely. Again, I would suggest, and I know Chef Recker pretty well. I know you're experienced, Chef, but I would still suggest going through the assessment program, just because of the valuable feedback that is given. It's really, we've seen the candidates who are in the assessment program, and right now we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 or 65 of them. They've really benefited from the assessment program. So, but if you were previously if you're previously okay to take the test, then you certainly are now. So
great, thank you. Any final things that you'd like to say, Chef? Your words of wisdom before we kind of close this out?
No, I would just, again, like to truly thank the committee for all of their work and all the chefs who helped with this through AMCO. We are trying to make this as transparent as possible, so we have higher success rates within the exam. We are here, AMCO is here to help you be successful. And so if there are any questions, please don't feel like you can't reach out and ask any of us. We're looking forward to the new exam being held somewhere at the end of February or March, and also announcing an exam for Q2 next year, sometime next summer at the same time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Master Chef Walker, for a very informative presentation. We certainly appreciate you taking the time to share your important insights on the new CMC exam. I know everybody's chomping at the bit for it, so we're excited to have some more information that we can start posting as well. Please be on the lookout, everyone, for the survey you'll receive in the next day or so, which you'll need to complete to earn your CEH. And for those of you that are ACF members, if you haven't noticed, we do have all of our backlogged quizzes and webinars on the ACF Online Learning Center free for you as a member benefit. So check those out. We hope that you'll join us next month on April 2nd as Master Chef Russell Scott, CMC, kicks off the discussion around our April trend with a webinar comparing the pros and cons of gas versus electric appliances. And then on April 9th, Chef Christopher Galarza, CEC, CCA, ECC, WCEC, will continue that discussion with a webinar on electric kitchens and sustainability. We also invite you to register for our 2025 ACF National Convention, where you can hear from a variety of expert presenters covering all of our trending topics for this year. This event is filled with tons of educational presentations, networking opportunities, and delicious meals. We hope to see you there. To learn more about the upcoming webinars and the ACF National Convention, visit acfchefs.org and click on the Events tab. On behalf of the ACF National Office, thank you again to our presenter for bringing us this opportunity, and thank you all for joining us today. Have a great day.